Hi, my name is Marissa Jobs, and today I'll be showing you how to draw a 3D sphere. To begin, let's start with the tools you'll need. This includes an assortment of shaded pencils, a pencil sharpener, blending stumps, gum and kneaded erasers, and a piece of paper or a sketchbook. Optionally, you could use a scrap paper to test the shades of pencils that you have, as well as a final fixative to preserve your art. Next are some things to know before we get started. I recommend testing each pencil for the shades that we have on our scrap paper to know which one's the darkest and which one's the lightest that you're working with. The pencils that I'm using in the video are 6B, 4B, 2B, and 4H. 4H being the lightest and 6B being the darkest. Next up is erasers. Our first eraser is the kneaded eraser. This can stretch and fold into each other. You use it in a dabbing motion to pick up lead rather than swipe at it as we do with our gum erasers. Our gum erasers are standard erasers. It breaks away easily, and the only thing that you need to watch out for is that if you do have debris come off of the eraser, you need to wipe it away or blow it away before you draw over it, or else it will embed it into the paper that you're working on. Something cool about the kneaded eraser is that you can make them into smaller versions of themselves so you can get more precise highlighting in smaller areas. And once you use the gum eraser more often and it becomes more rounded, you can cut them up into half pieces or smaller pieces for a sharper edge in order to get a cleaner erase line. Finally, the final fixative is a lifesaver when it comes to preserving your work. However, you want to make sure that you use it at the very last stage of your art process, because once you spray it, even once it dries, you cannot go over and erase whatever you have sprayed. You can add things to it, but you are unable to take away whatever you have preserved. The first step is to draw a circle. You can do this by either doing it free-handed or tracing it with a circular object. It's okay to erase and start again as long as you do it lightly with your 4H pencil. The next step is to identify a light source to determine where you will be shading and putting your highlight. Next, you will shade in with your 4H pencil lightly and all over to create a color for the sphere. I also used my eraser to clean up the lines around, and in the middle of the drawing I used my kneaded eraser to take away some of the parts that were a little too dark, making sure that my core shadow, about 1 centimeter from the bottom, was fully visible. After that, I used the blending stumps to blend out my darkest parts with my lightest parts, making sure to keep the lightest part at the top where the light source was. Then you will want to trace where you're going to put your shadow and fill it in lightly with the 4H pencil as you did in the beginning of the drawing. Next, you will want to shade it in gradiently, with the darkest parts being nearest towards the sphere and the lightest being outwards. Use your kneaded eraser to take away the darkest parts on the outer lines and create a more gradient look to it with the blending stumps. Finally, you can use the 6B pencil to create details of your darkest parts in the core shadow and the shadow at the end of the sphere, and the gum eraser for the highlighted part at the very top. This is the final product of what it should look somewhat like. Alright, and that concludes our video for today. I hope this video helped, and good luck on all of your artistic endeavors.